using your creativity to support positive mental health. Please welcome Jill.
Oh, thank you so much, everybody. I think it's marvellous that you're all here on such a dark and stormy night. And I'm very excited to be here at Inspiring Talks. I've seen an awful lot of mentions on social media over the years. It feels very grown up to be here, actually. So yes, I run Inkpots, and I work. I've slightly changed from the introduction. I now work with young people aged between 10 and 16 years. And I help them to harness their creativity to support their well-being. And I do that through, I run one set of groups in one secondary school in Burgess Hill in particular. We've got great connections with that school. And I also run programmes and projects in other schools, and I do creative mentoring on a one-to-one basis. Our base will always be around creative writing, but young people come to our groups and they express themselves through their writing, through poetry, through illustrations, and increasingly through photographs and video, actually. And my background as a writer and editor is incredibly important, but I'm also a youth mentor. So one of the things that over the 7 years that I've been running Inkpots was I began to notice that I was using more of my mentoring skills than sometimes the writing and the editorial stuff. And that was because young people were coming to the after-school clubs and various other workshops with increasing levels of anxiety. And I'm not talking about, just something horrible had happened, say. This was on a day-to-day basis across all the schools that I went into, across all the groups. And as you can imagine, when you're working quite closely with a particular age group, you just want to do the very best for them. And I just felt that what I was doing wasn't quite hitting the right mark. And so I decided last year to do a pivot in my business. And I thought I would concentrate on supporting young people during the periods of transition. So around about when they're moving from primary to secondary school, and then also as they're preparing to approach their GCSEs. If any of you have got children approaching years 10 and 11. And I've actually developed a programme that uses their creativity to support them. So I did a period of research and development, which sounds really grand, but actually it's me making lots of lists. But I did go and talk to quite a lot of academic researchers and talk to some people at Sussex Uni, and to find out how the teenage brain works, because it is a thing of beauty, the teenage brain. But my goodness, as well as all the physical stuff, there's all the stuff in the brain going on as well. So finding out just what is happening, and then how creativity impacts on that, and in fact how creativity affects everyone's brains. It's a growing area, and it's absolutely fascinating. But I also spent a lot of time talking to our young people. Now, if any of you are parents to teenagers, or you have got teenagers in your immediate circle, you will know they like to be listened to, and they have opinions. If they're talking to you, that is. they will spout forth. And so I got a lot of feedback. But I narrowed it down to two things that came up really loud and clear. One was they wanted space, and they wanted space to just be themselves, to be accepted, and to be able to be creative at their own paces. Now, the school that I work with, the Burgess Hill Academy, they have actually given us our own space, and we developed it. And even though I say so myself, it's great, the space that we developed. If anybody's interested in that kind of thing, I've written a couple of blogs on our website, which is inkpots.org. So that the students in those groups have literally got their own space. And I was there at lunchtime, and they just love it. We've got sofa, we've got fireplace, and we've got bean bags and fairy lights. We never have too many fairy lights. And it's very much appreciated. But even the students who don't come to those groups, it's very important that they just, again, time and space. These are young people who are very busy. Quite often they have very busy family lives, and of course they're on the exam and assessment treadmill at school. then they're on the phones, and they are very aware of what's going on in the world. They do worry about global warming, and currently at the moment they're very worried about what's happening in the Middle East. Quite worried about Prince Harry as well. So that was very important. And then I was also getting this feedback, which was, whatever we do, we want something simple. We don't want yet another great programme to get our heads around. The other thing was they wanted something that was non-judgmental. They wanted something where they could just learn a process or develop their creativity, and it wasn't going to be marked and it wasn't going to be commented on, other than good feedback that we develop those skills within our groups. But something that they could just say that this is my work and I love this poem that I've done, and it be left at that, rather than it being taken apart and analysed to get the mark. Now, I don't know about you, but I quite like more space in my life. I quite like non-judgmental spaces. I'd love to be able to go on Instagram and not have any comments. So I took all that on board, and it was really important to me that they also had some kind of tool. Now, this is where my creative jar comes in. And I thought about how can we somehow bottle their creativity. And I came up with the idea of the old-fashioned sweet jars. Now, I remember sweets being in those jars. They're just sort of, there for effect. And I went to a school where we had a little shop opposite, which wouldn't have been out of place in Harry Potter, actually, and in Diagon Alley, and in fact the characters behind the counter would have fitted in very well. But I do remember going into this really dark, dingy little shop, but the sweet jars being up there. Jars of pear drops, pineapple cues, pineapple chunks, and and if you think about, so I've got a photograph at home actually of somebody holding a similar kind of jar, and it's full of sparkle and light, and to me it's full of promise, all that creative promise, all of that loveliness that you can tap into. But then if you think about what a sweet jar's like when it's right down at the bottom and the sweets are broken and they're congealed, and if we think about how we would feel if we were like that, as adults we will call that being burnt out. As young people, they'll tell you they just feel like meh. But it's also realising sort of what behaviours get you to that point. So I'm helping the young people to visualise their jars, or in some cases, they like to use we've got a template, I brought some with you tonight, and they will mark where their measure is, helping them to understand when it's good for them, where the measure is. Some people like their jars to be really full up, others think, I don't need it to be there, I'm fine if it's half full. And helping them to understand as well, for the young person, within a day, their jar can be completely full, and actually, very quickly, it will be right down at the bottom again. Something dreadful will have happened, and that's all to do with what's going on in their brains. So it's actually helping them to understand how they balance all of that out. For us, we can do that. There are 3 steps, really simple steps. One is, first of all, to identify what creative activities you love and that you think would help you. The second is, of course, to see what your measure is. And the final thing is to think about activities, normally very simple, really quick ideas, where if the levels on your jar are really dipping very quickly, you can do something that raises the levels up to get it out of the danger zone. Some of our young people are getting really good about saying, I just need to go and play some music. I just need to go for a walk because my levels have dropped really low. So there we go. When I use this with the adults that I work with as well, I suggest to them that they might like to think about activities that they did as a teenager, because in the research that we did, I've discovered that when we're teenagers, that's when we're at most creative. That's when we're prepared to take some risks, and we will try things that normally we wouldn't do. And as adults, we let those things go by the wayside. Somebody might say something that's dropped. Obviously, we've got more responsibilities. As adults, we've got less time. But if you're thinking about, your levels might be coming up, think about what you did as a teenager. When I was that age, I used to dance. For various reasons, I stopped doing it, and I've recently returned to it, and it's a joy. Argentine tango this year. Strictly. Yes, it was a real joy, and I think we all want more joy in our lives. So there we go, that's a very, very quick run through. If anybody's at all interested, have a chat. But there you go. Thank you so much, you're wonderful.